Monica Ford, head chef and founder of Real Food Devotee. Today we're going to talk about pate. And we're going to use cream from cows raised on pasture and eggs from hens raised on pasture. So it's all incredibly nutrient dense, as well as bacon grease. It's super high in vitamin D, and it's something that many of us in the Western world are incredibly deficient in nowadays.
Vitamin D?
Vitamin D, yeah. Pigs are one of the most efficient animals at synthesizing vitamin D out in the sun, if they're out in the sun, getting some vitamin D. So lard and bacon grease and bacon and pork are extremely high in vitamin D. And this is what's referred to as a fat-soluble activator, this sort of vitamin. So it allows all of the minerals you might get from a beautiful spinach salad. If you cover that with some bacon and some nice cream dressing, then that'll allow you to actually take in those minerals instead of excreting them. So that's what vitamin D does, as well as vitamin A. And then vitamin K, which is found in grass-fed dairy, takes those minerals and deposits them in the right place. So instead of depositing them in soft tissues and giving you calcification and stiff joints, it'll deposit them in the bony tissues, which is where they should be deposited. And as you can imagine, so few of us get vitamin K anymore because we don't eat dairy that's raised on pasture. And there's really no way to get it without eating dairy from an animal that's raised on pasture. Vitamin K doesn't really get synthesized in them if they aren't. So, and you can use this with liver from chickens or from pork if you like, or rabbit or whatever. So this will work for any of those. I like to use shallots because they have a milder taste than onions, and they kind of just help to give you this nice, round, subtle taste that kind of goes with everything else. So either beautiful shallots or there's an onion called cipollini onion, and they're really sweet. They're little small golden onions, and you can usually get them at the end of summer at the farmer's market. So if I were making a really big batch of this, I would just throw these in the food processor. I would not bother to do this. But if you're making a small batch, then you can just take them and just kind of rough chop them. Once we saute them, they're actually going to go into a food processor with the liver, so you don't have to worry about mincing them up super fine. So we're first going to melt some bacon grease while we chop the rest of these shallots.
And where do you purchase bacon grease at?
I just cook a lot of bacon at home.
Okay.
So I tend to have a lot of bacon grease. I love bacon. It goes with many things beautifully. And in fact, many times people use bits of bacon in a potted meat like pate or like relay, which is what we're going to do next. So, yeah.
When I was a kid.
Yes, right. The wisdom of our grandmothers, yeah. They always saved fat from whatever they were cooking to use later. And in fact, when we do the relay, we'll save that fat for something else because we're only going to use a portion of it. We'll cook our pork in the fat, and then we'll save the rest for something else. Yes.
In my Jewish background, the chicken fat was sauteed with onions.
Schmaltz, right?
Schmaltz.
Yeah.
And we would just put it on bread like butter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember that? Oh,
Yeah.
delicious.
Yes.
I'm wondering why I grew up so healthy. I know it was good things growing up.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very wise of us to go back to some of the things that our grandmothers intuitively knew and grew up with. You know, we aren't... Convenience and industry is wonderful, but it's not all-knowing, unfortunately. Oh, it's not plugged in. And you must plug in your burner first. Very helpful. Thank you, Elaina.
Is the chicken fat the same as bacon fat, or is it part of the same? Or
Well,
is
you
just
could use it
because-
if you like. I just happen to like the taste of the bacon fat in this. I think it imparts a really smoky, nice flavor that goes with everything else really well. But yeah, you could use chicken fat for this if you like. I mean, pate was originally a peasant food, you know? It was something that would help you to use all the parts of the animal and everything in your kitchen. So sure, you could use chicken fat or lard or beef tallow or anything you like. You could really replace the bacon fat with anything, but the bacon fat is delicious.
Yeah.
So I'm showing you the most delicious way to do it. So just let this melt, and then we're going to add our shallots.
Chickens have to be good chickens too.
Oh yeah.
It must be good
You're getting your
chickens.
bacon somewhere special too, right? From an organic butcher or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah. So I only get pasture raised bacon, and it's, you know, like I say, super high in fat soluble activators like vitamin A, D, and K. Yeah. Oh, fancy, yes. Look at that. Great. Do you mind chopping one more, madam?
Yes,
Thank you. So to that, we're going to add some thyme. So, and I love thyme because you can just pull off the leaves, no cutting involved. So we're just going to pull off some thyme. Do you mind chopping some? And this is about to smell really delicious, by the way. Hold on to your hats.
I can smell it right.
You can.
It's already got smoke here, yeah.
It's coming over.
Yeah.
It's a lovely way to fill your kitchen and home with a, you know, nice smell. I really do think that that's, you know, that's part of real food. It also, like, it doesn't just help your body physically, but it also kind of is a calming, comforting thing to smell in your home and to make.
In time we need to add to the recipe, correct? Because it's, I don't
Yes,
know.
oh yes, could you write in thyme to your recipe?
Okay, and how much of it?
About a tablespoon. You'll just pluck off the leaves from the little sprigs. And that should be a 1/4 cup of shallots. You just write in cup there. Sorry about that. All right.
What was that, a 1/4 of a cup?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on the, it's on the
Okay.
recipe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Gosh, that smells good.
Yeah. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tablespoons? Yeah.
2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 tablespoons would be great.
Yeah, 2 tablespoons.
And then we're going to put in some mushrooms. And you can really use any kind of mushrooms that you like, you know. And Megan's chopping us a little garlic, and so we're going to put that in as well. And you can, you know, kind of cook this down a bit before you put in the garlic, because garlic, even though a lot of recipes I've read call to put garlic in at the very beginning, garlic is actually a little more fragile than onions or most herbs. So if you put it in closer to the end, it won't get bitter. It'll stay sweeter. So while that's cooking, we are going to make our liver mixture. Oh, awesome. You're right on time. Thank you. Thank you. So this is the liver. If everyone wants to pass it around and smell it, it should smell nice and clean. When you get liver, say from your local grocery store, conventionally raised animal, it smells pretty bad.
Yeah.
And the liver is not so firm as that is. And so, you know, that has a nice purpley crimson color. But if you just buy a liver sometime from the
It
store.
doesn't smell like what?
It smells yucky.
It smells awful.
Ah!
That doesn't. That
Get one
you
from a
don't
store.
smell. No, that's what I'm saying. That one
Oh,
smells
that
fine.
one
That
smells
was-
fine.
That
yes.
one smells. Yeah, you don't.
I was
really
gonna say, really?
No, it's not really.
I
I'm
actually
saying
hate the
regular.
smell of liver when you hand me that bowl.
Me
I was
too.
like, "Oh, don't do that."
Yeah, and that really resonated with me, what you guys said before, that you don't like organ meats. I didn't really like organ meats either, but when I began making pate, I tried to come up with a recipe where I didn't really have to taste the liver so much, you know? And I don't think it should be a pleasure for us to eat foods, you know? We shouldn't just eat something because it was good for us. It shouldn't be...
Yeah, to me,
It should be
liver has
fun.
always smelled horrible. That doesn't have a smell.
That smells
to it.
great.
It's
And you know what?
really
I've done
clean.
nothing to it. Now, one thing you can do before you make pate, if you want, you can soak the liver in lemon juice overnight. Little lemon juice and water. But you don't need to with this liver, to be honest.
What would soaking it in lemon juice do for it?
It takes a little bit of that liver taste away. Some people say it takes out any impurities. I don't know if that's really true, but I do know it tastes less strong if you use a little lemon overnight. But I really feel that pasture-raised liver does not require that. So as your veggies and herbs begin to soften, we're going to add some brandy. And all of the alcohol will cook away. But what we're going to do is reduce this down so that there's barely any liquid left. And it's all just going to be tasty.
I know on your recipe it says a third cup of cognac, and it looked like you put a bit more than
I
that.
put a little more.
That's okay. Okay.
Maybe a little.
What is the brandy for? And what is the function of the brandy?
You know, the brandy, well, you could use stock, I suppose, if you'd like a bone broth, but you do need some liquid to help reduce everything down into a concentrated form. And you don't want to leave it all dry.
How about the flavor?
The flavor is utterly delicious. It does just kind of bond things together. It gives it, I don't know, it just bonds those smoky, herby, savory tastes together. And I also find, you know, have you guys ever had eggnog without brandy in it? Or without, it's just not eggnog, you know? And that's kind of how I feel about the pate. So it's not really the alcohol, it's just that taste. It's a traditional way to make it, and I guess it is for a reason, because it's pleasurable. So we'll let that reduce, and we'll start on our liver mixture. So what we'll do is take the liver, do not be afraid of the liver, and we'll trim it a little bit. Now, there's not so much trimming to do on a pork liver. It's nice and big and firm and easy to deal with, but chicken livers actually have a lot of connective tissue. Yeah, so they're in pieces and they're connected together, and you must get rid of that because otherwise your food processor, they'll wrap around the blade and you'll just sort of hear your motor burning up while the blade isn't turning. So it's really important to get rid of those. Also, they're not really that pleasurable to run into in your pate. It's nice to get the pate as smooth as you can. So that's one of the reasons that pork is so wonderful, because it's nice and big and easy to deal with. So what we're going to do is just cut this into little chunks that we will be putting into our food processor.
Is that a full-size liver?
It is, but this is the other part. We just cut it into two
Ah, okay.
pieces. Yeah,
That's for an adult pig?
it is.
Really big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you ever seen a beef liver?
Yeah.
Huge, yeah.
Even when
Really
they call it a
big.
calf liver.
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I've ever seen an entire liver before because
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw it in the store and they already cut it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was so big.
They are big,
In
yeah.
the old days.
But that's
they
really
didn't have the whole
wonderful,
thing, but
you
it's
know?
out there.
Can make a lot of pate at once, and then it's done for a while. Now, if you make some pate and you want to put it into something plastic, then you can freeze it if you like. I suppose you could freeze it in glass as well, but sometimes that's a little bit of a safety issue. Did it get tired for a second?
Okay, put it back on. Full power.
So, So we're going to chop all this up, and I'm actually going to hand this off to Megan and let her chop the rest for us, if you don't mind. Oh, I'll keep this though. Thank you. Just bring it back whenever. So, my other bowl here. So to that, when we get all that beautiful liver back, we're going to add a few spices. Now, yes,
Like our
salt.
salt.
Isn't that pretty?
That's the real salt.
The
with all
real
the
salt.
minerals in it.
Yeah, So, and one of the reasons we want to use that is because we're getting all these wonderful fat-soluble activators in this pate, right? Well, we might as well put some beautiful minerals in there
Absorb
too.
them.
Help to absorb them, yeah, more efficiently, with ease.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so our ancestors, they had it kind of worked out. So they ate all this for a reason.
We thought we were smarter though.
We
We're
thought we
more
were
advanced.
smarter, yeah. But it turns out, as usual, your mother's always right. That's what I find.
It takes a long time to figure that out.
It does. So, first of all, we're gonna take some beautiful yolks. We'll just separate a few here. And most pâtés use a little bit of flour, white flour, but we're actually gonna use arrowroot. Arrowroot is a root that grows near the ocean. It's very high in minerals, and in cooking, it helps to thicken things and firm them up. So that's what we're going to use it for. We'll use that instead of flour. And arrowroot is wonderful if you want to do a little breading, some seasoned breading on fried chicken, or all sorts of little things it's wonderful for
That's
in a
good for
custom
thickening
thicken.
sauces.
Yeah. If
Instead
you're
of like
making like a
cornstarch or something.
yes, yeah, like an Asian inspired soup, perfect for that. A gravy. It's pretty great. Now I've also used coconut flour to thicken, and if you're on the GAPS diet, then that may be more appropriate than the arrowroot. I believe arrowroot at certain stages of the GAPS diet is not allowed. Messy. Another reason I like traditional food, you don't have to be perfect. That's why it's very good for me.
If you use the coconut flour, do you use the same amount?
You do. You sure do. Yes, indeed. I love the smell of that. So I think that once we get the rest of our spices in here, we'll probably bring out some pate for you guys to taste. Oh, there went another one. Oh, thank you. I love you. Oh, thank you.
What other things do you use coconut flour for?
I also use it in breading. Certainly made like little cakes from it, or it's kind of nice and sweet things, as is coconut oil. It's kind of well suited to that. So I'll use them in either one. So I like to sift it in. Just a little easier. Do you mind getting a whisk? Would you mind? Whisk that in, and then we'll put in our spices. Another cool thing about, oh goodness, thank you. Another cool thing about reducing in cooking is that you're actually concentrating all the nutrients. So if you, for instance, wanted to make a gravy or a reduction sauce, a really smart way to do that is to use bone broth, so that you reduce down all of the nutrition in that bone broth to a smaller amount, so you get more in what you eat. The French have it. The French are so smart.
Now, one thing they don't have on the radio or TV is natural food cookery.
I know. I want to do that. We need one.
I think that would be incredible.
Food cooking show.
Yeah.
Gotta get
Because it
Monica on
takes-
TV.
I don't like
The real stuff takes longer to prepare.
So she'll make less things, but I mean, it's only when you'll be on the radio.
That'll be the half.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only one.
Besides which, that would be the commercial.
You gotta talk to
And a little
Oprah about that.
pepper.
Yeah.
No, really, if you get an okay by Oprah, you're in forever. Look at that Dr. Oz, my God. She's really
The,
making into it.
that's the nutmeg you're adding?
That was
I'm
pepper.
adding all the
Pepper.
spices, but this is pepper, and I just added salt beforehand. And
I'm asking you, I bought nutmeg in the nut farm. And
oh,
really,
did
It
you?
is so much more flavorful than.
A whip.
That's what it looks like too.
So we've pretty much cooked out all of the liquid.
Oh, wow, I bet those are delicious.
Yeah, so they're just all infused with all of those wonderful tastes. It's going to be so nice in our pate. So we'll put the rest of our spices in.
Are you gonna?
So, half teaspoon of nutmeg. Thank you. Allspice. Thank you.
Those are similar, Middle Eastern use the nutmeg and allspice
Mhm.
quite a bit. And they're,
McGee.
I am half Arab, so.
so nice.
Oh, you are good.
My father's from Syria.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
My
he's
dad is
half
from
Greek.
Egypt. Oh, okay, cool.
I make liquor steak with old Indian garam masala.
So this is nice and thickened with our arrowroot and egg and all these spices. And what we're going to do now is get our trusty food processor out. And can I get a spatula? Thank you. So, first we're going to put in some, thank you, the liver. First we put in the liver. Beauty. And I may have to consult with you, Elaina. Is that just, that's so easy.
So all that's in there right now is the liver?
All that's in here is the liver. Yeah, and we want to try and get it as smooth as we can, so we'll give it another pulse. Nice. So certainly there are country-style pâtés, which just means that you leave everything a little bit chunkier. But we will make it a little more smooth. It's a little more elegant. So if you were going to do this for hors d'oeuvres or something, it might be nice to make it smoother. So I know it kind of seems like a long process right now, but once you get into your rhythm of it, it's actually pretty quick. And thank you. And then we'll just mix all of this up together, and we're going to add our cream. And this is Strauss Dairy. They are a pasteurized milk from cows that are raised on pasture, and we're actually going to cook this anyway, so unless you're just really devoted to raw milk, you can just since you're heating anyway, get some that's heated. And I think I say 2 cups, but yes, okay.
You said milk, you meant cream.
Cream. Send out the corrected version of this. Okay, there it is. All right. Finished. So you can imagine if you were doing a large batch of this, you would have quite a few terrines made and in your freezer or fridge. So you could make this for a month or 2 and have enough. Oops, Renegade. I'll add these guys. Hopefully this will all fit, otherwise we'll do it in a couple of batches.
It's lovely.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It smells really good. I'm hungry actually. It smells great. Okay, so while we're finishing this up,
I'll take that.
oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. We are going to, we'll be filling a couple of different tureens. And before we fill this with our blended up mixture here, we'll just use a little butter or bacon grease or whatever your preference is to just grease the pan. So I think we'll have Megan do that for us, the lovely Megan.
Like a toast with butter, or would you like to toast?
Butter would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, we might as well. We have a big batch. Okay.
Would I put that butter in? Or just some different-
Oh, this butter's fine. Perfect. I just couldn't put my hands on it. I couldn't see it. Okay. So we'll do our last little round here. Okay. So everything's pretty smooth.
So ideally, how much are you making this for? How many people? Exactly.
Well, it just depends on how often and how much you eat liver, I guess. I mean, we eat it very often, and I use it as sort of a fast food, a quick lunch, or if I'm going to take food with me, then I'll make a little liver sandwich, little pate sandwich. You can definitely freeze it. So once our tureens are back, we're going to pour this into our little tureens, and we're going to cook this in a water bath. So, and in the meantime, I feel like maybe we should taste some liver.
Just out of curiosity, you say make a sandwich with it. Whatever else.
Yes. So you'll just take little either crockery or, like I sometimes use these cute little pans, or you can just use a Pyrex. Thank you. You can just use a Pyrex. No, this is great. So once you've combined all of your beautiful pate ingredients in your food processor, take the bowl of your food processor and pour the ingredients into an open baking dish. Place that baking dish in a hot water bath and place the entire hot water bath into a preheated oven. You'll preheat your oven to 350 degrees and cook the pate for 50 to 55 minutes. The way you'll know your pate is done is by taking a dry butter knife or toothpick and piercing the center of the pate. If you pull back the toothpick or the butter knife clean, that means your pate is done. Remove the complete water bath from the oven and take the pate out of the water bath and allow it to cool on the counter. Once the pate is completely cool, scoop out the pate and pack it into smaller crocks or little jars of your choice. This will make for fast food on the go later when you need a nutrient-dense boost of liver. Once you have packed your pate and taken care to remove any air pockets, you'll seal the pate on top in clarified butter. This is the traditional method for giving your pate a long shelf life in the refrigerator. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name's Monica Ford, head chef and founder of Real Food Devotee. Please leave your comments and questions below. And remember, get real and be well.